Morning, Steve Free in Chicago with the morning grain comments. Overnight prices are not really changed too much. Beans up a couple of cents. Corn and wheat down about a penny. I think most of the market is waiting for the USDA report, and the main thing that people are focusing on is the soybean yield and see if they're going to raise it as much as people are afraid, if that raises the carryout and finally pushes us below the 950 area. Technically speaking, we've got to hold at 938 low, or we could see prices go lower. Those who think the crop is bigger and the carryout's bigger think that we'll take that price out eventually. Over in the corn and wheat, it just seems like we're just kind of waiting to see all the different moving parts. You know, how big is the corn crop? Is the farmer going to sell? How big is the demand? And then in the wheat, just how bearish is the global news in wheat, and can it keep the funds with their record short position? It is interesting to note that in polling some of the areas around the Midwest, especially in the East, there's talk that maybe farmers have enough room for this record crop, and that could slow some of their selling. We also are hearing that as these checks come in from the crop insurance, the $7 billion that farmers are getting, this actually is coming at a perfect time. It's helping farmers get through some of these lower prices, and it could slow some of the farmers selling. Our 2-week forecast is good for harvest. So the farmers could be focusing on the beans and trying to let the corn at least dry out or store in the fields. We also note that overnight the dollar is higher, and we're seeing some profit taking in the crude, the gold, and the silver, and the copper as people try to get a handle on whether or not OPEC will reduce production and get a handle on whether the Fed is going to raise interest rates, and all these things are kind of coming together. In his weekly webinar, Hightower suggested buying gas puts, buying gold, buying silver, buying copper, buying January soybean puts, selling the July-November 17 soybean spread, selling cotton, selling sugar, selling cattle puts, and buying calls. So there's some trade ideas there you can think about that, at least in the metals, is contrary to what we've been seeing. There is a belief that maybe energy market could continue to work higher, so there's another contrary position. But in the grains, they're focusing on the beans and the bigger crop and the potential for the lower prices. Funds yesterday, buyers of oil and corn and wheat sold beans and meal, and cash markets, meal is pretty soft right now, while we're seeing a little bit of firming in the corn and a little bit of firming especially in spring wheat basis levels, as people look for quality, as quality declines in Europe, Canada, and Australia due to too much rain. As always, these are my thoughts and not those of ADM or ADM Investor Services, and have a safe and profitable trading day.